It's a luxury. It's a privilege to have parents who support you through a divorce.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly sad. It is incredibly sad to see the number of people who come to the support group in tears because they don't know how to convince their parents.
Yeah.
And I used to think that this wouldn't happen in like an urban setting. It wouldn't happen in families like I would think it wouldn't happen in my family. Before I actually came to the reality of it, I would think that no, it's really not a big deal. But then I realized that that's so not the case. I've had some of these instances from friends. I've had people who I've known for a long time come there, and I'm like, wow, I never even realized that people who you think are probably even progressive are actually not when it comes down to their own kids. When something comes to your own family, how you respond to it is so different. And I think that is the biggest challenge that so many people face, where it's just like either the parents are emotionally manipulating, being like, I'll not talk to you if you do this. We won't support you if this is the kind of decision that you are taking. And in a lot of places, lot of people come and say that my parents, especially women, would say that my parents would rather support my husband than support me.
You run a support group for divorced women.
Yeah.
So is it only for women who've gone through a divorce or also for
Sorry, I
women
have
who
to
are seeking?
correct you. I run a divorce group for humans. Anybody
Oh,
is
okay.
welcome. Yeah, any
Oh,
gender, anything. You can be anybody. The only thing is that you just need to have been married or going through a divorce.
or going through a divorce. Okay. So then I didn't know that it was for any gender. I thought it was only for women. So then,
There is a lot of focus on women because I
yeah.
think that tends to happen. Also, even if you see the support group, see the kind of people engaging, interacting, coming for it, it is predominantly women. I will still say it's like 90% women and a few men who have come forward.
Hmm.
But I think men also find it a little more difficult to talk about it. Also, they feel like sometimes what happens is when there are a lot of women, they are literally like a little scared to share their story. And a lot of women are very wary of the fact that there are men coming to the support group. So it is a mixed bag of emotions that way. But I feel like, a divorce is hard on you regardless, of your gender. Of course, it's much more difficult on women, and I will never take that away from us. But I do feel like I wouldn't want to keep it exclusive at any point of time. I feel like you can come no
Hmm.
matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. But you do see more women coming through.
Definitely.
Hmm.
90% is women. Sometimes, so many times the groups have run with only women.
Hmm.
If there are like, say, 13 or 14 women, there will be about one or two men
Hmm.
at the max.
Hmm.
So that's how it's been.
Hmm. That's interesting. So what motivated you to start this group?
I think the motivation came from my own divorce.
Hmm.
I got divorced in Jan 2019 was when it was final. So I spent the most part of 2018 in court. I did not have a very easy divorce. It was difficult, it was messy, and I was under a lot of stress.
Hmm.
But I think, just the long waiting hours in court it just gave me so much time to think about a lot of things. And when I just looked around and I would see so many people, you see families of different kinds in court. You see children, you see elderly people coming. You just see all kinds of stories around you. Even if you don't know the story, you still kind of get a sense of what people are going through. And I realized that I was there, I was with my parents, who have been a great support system for me, but I still felt alone. On some level I still felt like the process was very alienating, and I wasn't sure that anybody around me was actually getting it. And there are just so many things that are bogging me down emotionally. I'm overthinking stuff, etc. So
Hmm.
I felt like, if I could just get a community of people together, of people who've had the same kind of lived experiences, and people who immediately can relate to the other person's journey, I think that makes a big difference. Also, because coming back to my own this thing story of like what happened is when I was separated and I knew that I had a divorce that is just coming up, I was very scared. I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what it's going to be like, and I don't know what life is going to be like after this. But I think I randomly connected with a few people on social media via Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And I realized that I could believe them so much more. And I don't mean that the people around me didn't try to reassure me. Everybody told me that, no, it's going to be, you're going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. It's not a big deal. And these are people who've known me for years and but have not been through a divorce. But the second I heard it from someone who has been through one and is living a kick-ass life at this point of time, I realized that that relatability was a lot for me. And that was honestly a little mind-blowing for me, because I'm like, these are people I've known for 20 years, and I was struggling to actually be like, okay, but how do you know, kind of thing. But when someone who's actually been through it, they're like, hey, look at my life now, I'm actually living it, then your chances of believing that person was like a lot more. So then I was like, okay, then, if someone, if I'm able to do that for somebody else tomorrow, to say that, okay, you know what, life after a divorce is actually not so bad, and I hope you believe that, because look at me or look at somebody else, and this is this. So I just thought that familiarity is very powerful. It's just so important. So I think that's what led me to wanting to set up a support group. So it was an idea in my head when I was in court. I really wanted to get people together. So when I would have a lot of time in between, I would just find, friendly faces in court, and I'd just go up to them. I'd start talking to just be like, hey, what brings you here? And this is what brings me here, kind of thing. Very sweet conversations. And people just tend to open up a little bit over there, saying, I'm here for this. This is my fourth time. This is my fifth time, or this is my first time, kind of thing. And towards the end of my divorce, I actually started floating the idea around in the courtroom to be like, what would you think? Like, would you join something like this? What do you think about it?
Hmm.
And they were like, we need it, like, let's do it, like, I would support you if you do this. Let's form the group and stuff like that. So I felt, okay, there are a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
not like there is any dearth of the number of people who actually want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I think then when I started trying to look for groups, I never found anything in India.
There
And
isn't.
I just found there is nothing in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
And I was a little shocked, but also I know that support groups aren't big in this country. I know we like to alienate people. We like to make people feel like shit about things. We never want anybody to feel comforted, honestly, in this society. So support groups itself are so rare, and that too for something that is so heavily stigmatized in our country, it's almost impossible to find one. So
Yeah.
I knew that there is a big gap that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drove me towards it. I took a long time. Even after I got divorced, I took months, because I felt like I needed to kind of heal a little bit before I can actually, try and help out somebody else.
Yeah.
So I would never say that the healing is over. I think healing is always happening, but
Yeah.
just to feel a little more ready to be like, okay, I think I can hear you out, or I think, I can just be there for you when you want to talk, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how it started,
Yeah.
actually.
And yeah, coming back to what you said about the dearth of support groups in our country, this is exactly why I so desperately wanted to connect with you and talk to you, because I have, and in the West, especially in the US, it's so common. There's a support group for everything, right? But in India, you're absolutely right. There really isn't. And I feel like, whatever little that I can do to create awareness about your work, I just want to jump on the wagon. I think you're doing an incredible job by bringing this group together, and it just needs to be amplified, and people need to know about it, that there is this safe space. So
That's very, very sweet of you to say. Thank you so much. I'm also so happy to be here and to be talking to you, and for you to give me this space. I'm really honored. Thank you so much.
no, I think it's incredible. Absolutely. So tell me, what happens in the groups? How often do you meet? Do you meet in person? Do you connect offline? What is the structure?
Yeah, so it started in, I think, September 2019.
Hmm.
Um, when it started, it was a physical meetup, so it was only Bombay. So when I announced it, we met at like small cafes in Bandra before on Sundays before they would open. So people did open up their businesses also to us for free, because where else do you go where it's a safe place and it's public and you're isolated? So it was really sweet that people gave us spaces to do this. But again, we were very, very, it was very narrowed down to Bombay. And I was just starting off. So I just wanted to also test it out. So I think I will talk about the first ever meet that happened, because I think it is unforgettable for me. One of the best days I have seen in my life so far. Um, we were 15 of us, 15, 16 of us, and we walked into the place. We were complete strangers. Nobody even knew who the other people coming were. I just knew their names because I had organized it. I didn't know anything other than the basic research that, okay, they are actually divorced or getting a divorce, and that's why they're coming here, just to check the genuinity. And we went inside, and initially it was a little awkward, and it so happened two men had signed up for the session but didn't turn up. So it so happened that we were all women in the group. And you won't believe it, there was a 21-year-old and there was a 63-year-old. So it was so varied, and everything in between, so there were like all kinds of women over there. And we just started introductions. We just said, okay, each one of us are we're going to take about like 15-20 minutes, and we're just going to talk about what's happened in our life. And I think each one took that time, introduced themselves, what happened, why they are here, how did the divorce go, or how is it going, how did they get out of it, what did they do, what was the coping mechanism, um, how did their parents react, how did their neighbors react, how did what was their support system, and everything. And some of them were mothers, single parents at that point of time. There was one person who was remarried. So we just had like a variety of stories coming in. And I think at some point of time everybody cried, just listening to the other person. The energy in the room was infectious. It was beautiful. And we didn't cry out of sadness, we cried out of the fact that we related so much to it. And every time somebody said their story, there were two other people who would relate to it. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of knowing you are in a room full of people who understand exactly what you are talking about. So it's like, if someone said that I had these unreasonable ice cream cravings at like 3 a.m. every night when this was happening, and I would cry in trains, I would cry when I'm outside, I would cry when I'm at a cafe. It was just difficult for me to explain it with the people I was around, but we were like, no, I have been through exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think that made so many of us just like start crying at some point of time. We were laughing at another point of time. We made bad jokes about things that have happened. And we at some point of time, it's like one person learned to laugh at their life experience, three others also learned to do so. And it just, we felt light at the end of it. And 2.5 3 hours later, when we walked out of that place, we were hugging each other, we were talking, we were exchanging numbers, and we said we're going to meet up again, we're going to go out for drinks, we're going to sit and we're going to have breakfast together again. And it was that powerful. It's literally like, you walk in as strangers and you walk out feeling like you've known each other for years at that point of time. And I think people gave each other advice, saying, okay, I did this, maybe you could try it. And especially to the really young girl who joined us that day, who was she had just started her proceedings, so she was really stressed out. And she's 21 is not even an age to go through that kind of stress. And I think everybody helped her out. And there was an older person with us, from a complete, that from a generation of like, parents. And she spoke about how so many years ago, she left her husband, and now she has like a daughter who's almost like my age. And the experiences we heard was so varied, it was so strong, it was so empowering to hear. And I think I get goosebumps every time I think of the first session that happened, because of course it was also the first time for me. So I was very unsure of how it was going to go, and everything, but it went so well. And I'm in touch with most of the people I met that first time. And I think a lot of people said they were a little skeptical when they wanted to come for the group, because they didn't know, nobody's been to a support group, including me at that point of time. So everybody was just taking a gamble on me, actually, to be like, let's just go and see what she's up to. And the kind of emails they wrote to me after that, the kind of words that they had to say, that they didn't even realize it was so important to have. And I think I echoed the same sentiment, because even I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, I knew, I kept saying support group, but I think the magnanimity of it hit me only at that point of time, where I was like, wow, this is something else altogether.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful experience. And I think that's how it was until the pandemic. Once that happened, it went online. And I think that's still great, because that means that we're no longer it's no longer only Bombay, which means we've had access to a lot more people who've wanted this, from smaller towns, smaller cities, abroad. So there are people who've joined us from US, Australia. Somebody from the Maldives came for one session. So it's like all kinds of the canvas just opened up to something so much larger. So I think even if it is safe to meet again, I would like to keep it online, because I don't think it's fair to restrict it to one particular area.
Hmm.
And while I think the energy is beautiful in a room, when you sit with everybody, there is a vibe to it. You just can't shake it off. It kind of becomes half when it's an online this thing, but I think it still works. It's still something, and it definitely has an effect. So I think that's where we are at. It's still online, and I think it will be that, unless it's like a very pointed session. Sorry, when someone really wants to meet or something, or maybe once in 2 months or something. I've not really decided that.
Hmm.
Of course, Corona gets to decide it. So
Yeah.
as of now, there's no plan,
Hmm.
but online sessions do continue. And I think last 3-4 months, I've also gotten experts to come on to the support group, because it's one thing to hear another person's lived experience. It's one thing to say, let me learn something from you and let me share something I know. I think it's important to have access to people who are experts in their field. So I think the first few sessions we have were with therapists. So I called a therapist over, because I want to make therapy, because a lot of people that I noticed over the support group were very, very, very hesitant about therapy, were very, very reluctant to speak to a therapist. And I thought, if they came face to face with a therapist, and if they broke down therapy to say that it's actually not as intimidating as you're worried about it, maybe you should give it a try, and to hear it from a therapist makes it easier for people. So I think it's a obviously these are all free sessions. So the first one was with therapist. A lot of people have taken up therapy after that. They have gone for support. Especially these are for the ones who are going through the divorce. I think people who've already finished the divorce are still a little more in a better place when they come to the support group, and a lot of them do come there to just share their experience, to be like, if I can do it, you can do it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But for a lot of people who are going through the divorce, they have a lot of stress factors, a lot of triggers, a lot of active triggers that they have to work through. So the therapy session was super helpful for that.
Hmm.
And then there was a session with the lawyer. Uh, so getting a lawyer on board to just tell you that these are your rights. This is what you can do.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in this particular kind of situation, or if you want to go even for a mutual consent divorce. How many of us who've not been through a divorce actually know that this is what happens in a mutual consent divorce? So you need to equip yourself with the basic information, so that you know what you're in for. You know what it's going to cost you. You know how much time it's going to take out of your life. You know exactly how do you approach a lawyer. So I thought having a lawyer session is really important. And to be very honest, that was something I did not find very easily accessible. I paid almost 8,000 to a lawyer for 1 hour to just understand these rights, which I didn't understand why I needed to pay for. I
Hmm.
felt like this is something that is my right to know, and I should be given access to it. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have found a few lawyers who believe in the same thing that I do, and who are willing to come and put in that few hours of talking to so many people, and telling them that this is how you go about it.
Hmm.
But I think it really helped a lot of people to get that kind of clarity, saying, okay, I think I know what I want to file. I think I know how to approach a lawyer.
Yeah, but that's absolutely right. I actually recently interviewed a lawyer for the same series. Her name is Mansi, and she runs something called Pink Legal. I don't know if you would
Oh,
have.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So she's also, on a mission to just spread awareness about basic rights that women have. And you're absolutely right that there is there is a lack of awareness, right? We don't know what our rights are.
Yeah.
Something as simple as, you know, the right to living wherever you want to, whoever you want to live with, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think awareness is a big part of it for sure. But it's also so great that you're, taking that extra step, going that extra mile, and getting experts to come and talk to your group. I think that's wonderful.
I
Um,
think it's important because I feel like sometimes what happens is we get so carried away by our own experience that we think we know everything when we don't. Like, we can't become therapists or lawyers because we went through a divorce or because we had a certain experience. Yeah, of course your experience counts, of course it's important to tell people about it, but there are people in the field doing the work they do because they come from a certain level of education and certain level of experience dealing with multiple types of cases. So and I also started feeling that sense of responsibility because so many people were reaching out to me, so many people were asking me these questions, and I didn't want to take the space of of an expert. I didn't want to take away from somebody who can actually do justice and provide the right kind of credible information. I thought that was extremely important
hmm,
to have. And now we have more pointed sessions. So now there's going to be something with a financial planner who's going to help women. This is going to be a women session. This is coming up next month actually. um, which is basically I'm getting a financial planner to come and help women save,
hmm,
because so many women are stuck in marriages because they cannot come out because they have no financial independence.
hmm,
So that is a very, very, very big problem in our country, where the wives are so dependent on their husbands that it's very difficult to get out. It's easy to say, yeah, just move out. It's not at all that easy. So just to help people manage their money. Can you save up for a divorce? Is it something, if you are considering, or even if you're not considering, if you don't actively want a divorce right now, but if you probably think you're headed that way and you need to figure things out,
hmm,
then this is a good session to start off with, to say, okay, this is how you can start planning for it
hmm,
financially, because it's so important to have that kind of independence.
yeah,
And then there is another one with a child psychologist for single parents,
hmm,
mothers, fathers, um, to come and because children go through so much trauma. There are so many marriages, so many people who've come on the support group who talk about how the children have been through abuse, children have been through so much trauma, and children understand so much more than
give them
we
credit
even
for.
think,
Yeah,
give them
yeah.
credit for. So I'm having a child psychologist that will be, I think, the month after that. So these are going to be in rotation. So I might be choosing a different therapist, different lawyer, different planner every time, or maybe even the same people. But the expert sessions will definitely continue once a
Hmm,
month for sure, because again, it's very important. And
hmm, yeah.
yeah,
And these are also free to attend.
everything is free.
Okay.
Everything is free.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think are the most common challenges? I know there's so many challenges, and I know that we can't, just talk about it in this broad, overarching way. But surely, I feel like there are certain things that most people, especially women going through a divorce, go through. Like you said, financially, a lot of women are dependent on their husbands, their families, which is a reason why a lot of people don't leave, a lot of women don't leave abusive marriages, right? So
Right.
like that, what do you think are the other challenges?
I think the number one challenge that I've heard, seen through so many stories, I think right now I would have gone through over 150, 200 stories of just listening to people pour their hearts out.
Mm,
And I would say for sure that it is parents um, who pose the biggest challenge
mm,
sometimes. It's a luxury, it's a privilege to have parents who support you through a divorce.
yeah,
And it is incredibly sad. It is incredibly sad to see the number of people who come to the support group in tears, because they don't know how to convince their parents.
Yeah.
And I used to think that this wouldn't happen in like an urban setting. It wouldn't happen in families like, I would think it wouldn't happen in my family. Before, I'm saying, before I actually came to the reality of it, I would think that no, it's really not a big deal. But then I realized that that's so not the case. I've had some of these instances from friends. I've had people who I've known for a long time come there, and I'm like, wow, I never even realized that, people who you think are probably even progressive are actually not when it comes down to their own kids. When something comes to your own family, how you respond to it is so different. And I think that is the biggest challenge that so many people face, where it's just like either the parents are emotionally manipulating, being like, I'll not talk to you if you do this. We won't support you if this is the kind of decision that you are taking. And in a lot of places, lot of people come and say that my parents, especially women, would say that my parents would rather support my husband than support me,
Yeah.
even if he has made a difference, because they hold the guy marrying their daughter in such high regard, in so much of I don't know, it's just blinded faith in that person, that okay, if we have got our daughter married to this man, that's it, like he's everything. And that's how it's treated, like most Indian families, that's how they do treat the son-in-laws. So that can be so hurtful for someone, who are your parents. So I think just having that support of your parents makes your life so much easier, makes the process so much better, because you feel like you have the support. And I think that when you're in an unhappy marriage, you're already dealing with so much stress, you're already dealing with so many things you need to figure. And then if you do not have your parents support, it's adding to your baggage, it's adding to your weight, it's adding to everyday struggles, when actually having that support can help you. It can take you forward, and it can someone to hold your hand when you're going through one of the toughest things that you're going to go through in life.
Yeah.
I think the challenges for me, that is the biggest challenge I see. That is the this thing. So even in the video that we made recently, the biggest appeal was to parents. It was to say that please bring your daughter back home. Please support your daughter. Please,
Hmm.
how can you let your daughter be in an unhappy relationship, in an unhappy home, uh, just because of what society is going to say, or just because what your relatives are going to question you?
Hmm.
Like, how can you put your daughter's happiness behind all of those things?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was one of the main reasons that we targeted that also. A lot of parents to be like, it's really okay.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest challenge for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are many others. To
Yeah.
me, this kind of stands out
Yeah.
uh, among a lot of other things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like my parents were super supportive, right? In fact, they actively pushed me to take a stand and get out of this marriage that they, you know, clearly saw that I was not happy in. And I know for a fact that that alone made the whole thing so easy for me.
Yeah.
It made it so easy for me. And of course, like it wasn't smooth for sure, but just knowing that my parents had my back, my family had my
Yeah.
back, just made everything that much easier. And in the same breath, I have grown up around and I'm still surrounded by people, women now, some of them are in their 40s, inching close to 50s, and they are not able to leave abusive marriages because
Yeah.
they have this danda over their head from their family, from their parents, saying ki nahi, make it work for the kids, make it work for this reason, aadmi aise hi hote hain, this that blah blah. And I think about that, a lot, and I think about what this does to the whole identity of a woman, right? You don't belong anywhere.
Anyway, yeah,
There's no
yeah,
room for you.
that's very isolating, because
Yeah.
you feel like you've just been passed around between your parents' house and your husband's house, and then like, if you're unhappy, then where do you go? How
Yeah.
You're very, very right about it. That was like bang on, because then what are you?
Yeah.
Where do you belong? That's not how anybody should make you feel. And I think even I was very lucky to have the support of my parents, and it definitely made it so much easier to know that they will drive me up and down to court, and then like help me through the lawyer sessions, and then like even small things, like just understand that if I wake up in a terrible mood one day, don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Don't question. Don't be like, oh my god, what's wrong? My life is wrong at this point of time. So even like this, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, I think it makes a very big very very big difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm actually also planning a session for parents,
That's great.
planning to have my parents talk to other parents who will probably and hopefully, even if reluctant, will join,
Hmm.
just to kind of understand how do you deal with certain things. And if you're on edge, then maybe you just need that little bit of a push, a little bit of that motivation to actually be like, okay,
Yeah.
I can probably do this too for
Yeah.
my daughter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this is honestly a lot for women. I barely heard any man come up and say that you know uh, no, don't get divorced. I think it's mostly, when men come forward and they have shared their experience, it so happens that their moms will go against the daughter-in-law. And as much as we try to say that this whole mother-in-law, daughter-in-law thing is like only in Hindi serials and this, I think it's not. I think the drama is real. I think
Yeah.
the holding the son as the golden child is true in every family, and that unfortunately goes against us. When especially when it's a woman standing up to say that I want a divorce from you, then you're vilified to another extent,
Yeah.
and you need to bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's really no easy way to go about it, and there's never going to be. Unfortunately, I don't think we are going to live to see the day where, a woman is not vilified by at least 10 people.
Yeah.
I won't even say at least one person, but there's going to be at least 10 people who will turn around and say you're the bitch.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, we can wish for it, we can
yeah,
hope for it, but I doubt it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
here's hoping that at least the what we are fighting for today, at least somebody reaps the benefit of it. A few generations down the line,
yeah,
uh, our great great granddaughters hopefully
yeah.
won't have to face it the same way that we did, and
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah, yeah, it would be great. I think, one thing that I have learned is that you have to pick your battles. I very consciously stepped back from a lot of people, friends, extended family, just a lot of people where I felt that, if I don't do this, if I don't distance myself from them, then at some point there's going to be some judgment, or maybe just their presence will make me feel judged,
Yeah.
because it happens, right? With some people, they don't have to say anything to make you feel judged, right? And
Yes.
especially when you're going through a divorce, like now I don't care, now um, I'm past all of that. But especially when I was going through the divorce, I very consciously stepped back from people where I feared that, they won't understand or they wouldn't want to understand. I don't think anybody can really understand, but one should be willing to understand.
Empathize,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Absolutely. I think even I have done that. And I think what happened, at least with in my case, is when I had decided to go ahead with the divorce, I took a long time to tell extended families. I didn't see the need to go around telling them every little update in my life. So
yeah,
I even told a lot of even like closer family only when I was absolutely sure of my decision, and when I knew that I had found a lawyer and I was going ahead with it, etc. And I think when I said it, I was pretty firm. I was quite stern
yeah,
about it because I was very conscious of the fact that I want to draw my boundaries.
yes,
So even when I said it, I was very clear about the fact that I'm not asking you. I don't want an opinion. I don't want to hear what you think about it.
yeah,
I'm informing you because you're my family.
yeah. And
So
the same with friends
that's
also.
it.
you know I think maybe like there would be one or two really really close friends whom you trust, and can, really count on, who know you well, who've seen you grow intimately. But other than those one or two people, I think even with friends, it's important to draw that boundary that, you're.
Very important. Very important. At least for me, as I felt quite traumatized repeating my story over and over again.
Hmm.
So there was a point of time when I told, 10, 15 of my closest friends. And then I decided that that's it.
Yeah.
If anybody else asks me, and people do ask, like, what happened? What happened? And I just said that difference of opinion, we didn't get along, that's about it. I'm
Hmm.
not going to keep repeating my story because a, it wasn't helping me move forward because I would again get stuck in that rut of talking about what went wrong, and b, I don't think I needed to give away so much of details about my life.
Hmm.
So whether it was family, and I think even with a lot of my friends who have continued to be very close to me,
Hmm.
I just told them that, hey, listen, I don't think I can relive it again and again. So just understand that this is it and this is all I'm going to share. If that's an issue with you, then we
That's your
probably
issue.
weren't that close friends to begin with.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's not an issue with you. And let's just move ahead. And I think quite a few people were quite understanding about it.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I don't think I really, friends wise, I don't think I really, really, really have a very close set of friends who are like my army. So those people already knew. It's not like I had to sit down on one day and tell them that this is what happened. They probably have been through that life with me.
Yeah.
So they kind of already knew. And those are the people I really considered important enough to give every update to. So that
Yeah.
was a very close set. Beyond that, and I realized that I said one day I just woke up and I said, henceforth, I'm not repeating my story even once, unless it's absolutely necessary and important to that particular conversation that I say, that I repeat the story. I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah.
And I told that to my parents also. I said, stop telling people the reason. It's my story.
Hmm.
Just tell them that something has gone wrong and it's not working out, and she's come back home and she's moved back here, and that's it.
Hmm.
So I taught, especially with my mother, I taught her also to draw that boundary with her, like her side of the family and everything, because I felt like my mom was getting targeted a lot,
Hmm.
lot more than me or my dad, because we are a lot more firm as people.
Yeah.
My mom is a little softer. My mom is a little, little more vulnerable in that, in the sense that she never said I shouldn't get a divorce, but if people asked her questions, then she would start answering them. So,
Hmm.
it was a learning curve to be like, what do you tell? What do you not tell?
Yeah.
And I think we got the hang of it. And I think because of that, um, a lot of relatives naturally distanced themselves from me
Hmm.
because they felt like, um, you know, I have too much control of my life. And the fact that they didn't have that control over my life, I think was quite disturbing for them.
Yeah.
So, but that's how I wanted it to be. And I was very particular about the boundaries. So that has kind of helped. Where I had the second wave of problem is when I started talking about divorce online. And I remember the first ever time that it was covered was in an Economic Times article.
Hmm.
And it was, I think, just a month or so after my divorce was final. And I was flying. I was so thrilled about my newfound freedom, and I was super happy and
Yeah.
all of that. I was in like a cloud of my own. And this came up, and I decided that, you know what, I'm going to share it. And I shared it on the family group and everything. And there was no response only. People were
Yeah.
like, what is this girl up to, kind of thing. And then I realized, like, a few months later, when more articles had come out and I was like a lot more open about it on like Instagram, and I would purposely go and put it on Facebook because I'm like, I want people to read about it. I want you to know that I'm not going to like just like brush it under the carpet and forget about the fact that this happened. So then I remember that they would get back and say, okay, it's bad enough you got divorced. Do you have to talk about it? Because there was also this other thought that was floated around in my family saying that, okay, you know what, okay, fine, you got a divorce and all that. Like, okay, you're talking about it. Why are you talking about it now? Because what will your future husband's parents tell their family? I was like, that is a really long chain of imaginary people that I have to worry about. Like, imagine my future husband, who I don't know who it is, his parents. How are they going to face their
Their
family?
family.
Because I speak about it openly. I was like, wow, like, I wish you guys would use these brains to like do better things in life than actually worry about it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we are a long way, long, long way.
Long way. There's a
Well,
lot of work remaining. Lots left to do.
yeah, yeah. So, why do you think it's important to normalize divorce?
I think I hold happiness very, very high in my life. And I know happiness is a term that's very loosely used today. That's something that's very, it's honestly very, very underestimated at this point of time and overused. But I think just being at peace, being in healthy relationships around you, no matter what that relationship is, whether it is friendship or family or husband or whatever it is, I think it's very important that you lead a life which is peaceful, which doesn't stress you out. And if you are in a situation where it is stressful, where you are in a toxic place, and worse, if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to have the freedom to walk out of it and um, not have people pile on 10 more problems to that very decision. I think this is a very, very, very important and personal decision that we make, just like so many of us make the decision to get married. I think we also should have the freedom to be like, this is making me unhappy, or this is abusive, this is something that is harming me, harming my mental health, I need to get out of it. I think that it's the fact that we are fighting for that very basic choice is heartbreaking. It is so, so, so sad. And I think that's why I fight every single day. I feel like even after the divorce, I feel like I need to fight for my identity every day, to just shed the label, shed the fact that, somebody will call me a divorcee. I hate the tag. I don't want to be called a divorcee. um, that was a past. I was married and I'm single now. Why do you have to label me a divorcee? I don't want to be labeled by you. So the fact that I need to prove every single day that I am worthy, that I uh, can be respected as any other woman in society, that I am equal to find a man who's not been divorced before, that I am eligible to get married again to a person who might not have been married before, starting from there, to be like, okay, you don't have to treat me a certain way. The fact that we are fighting for very, very basic rights in 2020, I think all of that is the reason why it's so important to normalize this. And unfortunately, like you said, there is a long way to go. And every Indian family has people who refuse to acknowledge that divorce is normal, that divorce is a decision that could make people potentially very, very happy,
Yeah.
put people at ease, put people in safer places. And I think it's high time we recognized that, acknowledged it, respected it, and helped people through it. I think that's what is most important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think really the worst thing for someone who's gone through a divorce or is going through a divorce to the worst reaction to get from another person is pity. They
Yeah.
don't want to be pitied. They
Yeah.
don't want someone to feel sorry for you.
Yeah. Usually when you say, oh, but I had a divorce, the first thing is, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I would be like, why are you sorry? This is the best thing that's happened to me.
Ah, like, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Got
Like,
out of hell.
congratulate people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them, like, cheers to your freedom.
Yeah.
Don't say you're sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, how can people find you or the group if someone wants to join?
um, so a lot of what I talk about, a lot of the group, a lot of the everything stems from Instagram. So my handle is at Shasvathi, and the link to join that is in my bio. So you can just use that and join. Though I will say this, right now we are at 400 plus people who've signed up for the group, and every week it is about 15 to 20 of us meeting.
Hmm.
So there could potentially be a waiting period. There is only that much I can do in a week. I'm doing this single-handedly with two jobs on the side. Um, so if there is a waiting time, like, I would really request that people wait. However, the expert sessions that we spoke about are free for all. So there is no limit to the number of people. So anybody can join those. for the smaller groups, because we need to do justice to every story that's coming through. We can't have more than 15 to 20 people on a call, because then nobody gets a chance and it's not fair. So because of that, if there is a waiting time and if you have to wait a couple of weeks, then I have no way out of it.
But that's fabulous. It's fabulous that you're bringing together and supporting this community that seems to be growing and thriving. And I want to thank you for bringing this into the world. You know, I really do want to thank
That's so, so, so sweet of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.